All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Empty Gym podcast. Like we said last episode, we're going to be doing something a little different now that college basketball season's over. We mentioned that we'd be doing a Masters preview. So, Masters is coming up. Tradition like no other. Here with me today, I got my good buddy, golf guru, a dimple head, a parvert, whatever you want to call him, Max Callarman. Max, welcome to the show.
Pollard, real pleasure to be on. Very glad you extended this offer to me. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, let's just get into it. It's the Masters. Golf's back. Happy it's back. Kind of different change of pace in the sports world. So I'm excited for it. What are your basic thoughts going into Masters weekend?
It's kind of tournament we look forward to all year, right? It's best field, the best venue, and there's nothing better than watching these guys, all fight all weekend long for a green jacket, because I think that's kind of what everybody's striving for. You know what I mean? Like, there's no tournament like it. Like you said, it's best tournament in the world, man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we had the par 3 contest, or the par 3 tournament, whatever you want to call it. And then I believe last night was the dinner, right, with Scotty's Sliders. I don't know if you saw the picture of that.
Tasty.
With them all in the green jackets. Looked a little different because you had some of those live players in there too. Phil just kind of looked a little out of place.
Boy, he looks sickly.
I know. It's funny. I guess kind of talking about live, it's a little bit different this year. With the live last year, we kind of had them, but they didn't really kind of have anything established yet. They didn't have any tournaments or anything set in stone, really. But so for those live players that are playing in this, I think there'll be a little bit of a different dynamic coming into it. You have the guys, obviously DJ's won it before. You got Phil coming in, but do you see any of these live players being able to make a run at the green jacket this year?
Well, easy one here. They got to play 72 holes, not 54 holes.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly.
It's another 18 holes. It's another round. They're not used to playing. They haven't played 72 holes, most of these guys, in almost a year. You got a couple winners that have, a couple guys that have won the Masters, a couple multiple-time winners. Bubba Watson, like you said, Phil's got 3 green jackets. So, maybe 2. Regardless, he's got multiple green jackets.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys that have played well there, but their careers are kind of on a downturn, and that they're the ones that decided to leave. I certainly think that having a guy like DJ is tough, because the guy's played well at Augusta. Yeah, I know it was November, but historically, like, really good driver of the golf ball, really long, which plays pretty much anywhere, but especially at Augusta National. DJ's a tough one, man. I really think he's going to play well this week. Granted, I haven't seen him play a whole lot, the last 6-7 months, but he's just that kind of guy where, he'd still show up and win every single week, even no matter what tour he's on, right? Like, when he's on the PGA Tour, is like, DJ's a heavy favorite pretty much week in, week out, and I really don't see that changing a whole lot this week.
Yeah, so they have DJ's odds right now at 22-1. But like you said, they only play 54 holes. There's no cuts. Liv's only had 3 events this year. Another name that's kind of been thrown around as one of the guys from Liv that can make a run at this green jacket would be Cam Smith. He played pretty well last year at Augusta. But, yeah, like I said, he's been one of those names who's been thrown around. Like, what are your kind of thoughts on him?
No, like you said, I'm pretty sure he finished up runner-up at Augusta, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't runner-up, he was like top 5 easy. Won the British Open before he left to go play with the Saudis. He's another one that's kind of tough, man. I don't dislike the guy. I would like to see him play well. Do I think he's going to? He's been kind of like on a downturn, if you want to use that term. It really hasn't been playing great lately. I know he won a live event like right after he made the switch. I don't think he kind of finds that same groove he was in last year at Augusta, I would argue that he probably takes a step back this week. But I think you probably will see some flashes out of him. That's, he's still, a phenomenal player. He's one of those guys that, if he gets everything rolling, he's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, he did play pretty well last year. Very good around the greens. That's one of his strong suits. But another thing that's kind of different this year with Augusta is they got some weather coming around there. Thursday is a 30% chance of rain. Friday you got a 50% chance, which with that can go up to 70% chance in the afternoon. Saturday you got a 90% chance, and then Sunday you got a 50% chance. I know I was listening to an interview with Max Homa today, and they were kind of talking about it, and he was saying how you could possibly be seeing a lot more birdies. With all that rainfall that they could possibly get. So, I mean, is that true? Like, what other advantages does the rain or disadvantage does the rain bring for the players at Augusta this weekend?
So we'll start with disadvantages. Obviously, the guys, it makes the golf course longer because the ball doesn't roll out as far. And Augusta has a ton of undulation out there. They've got, you have so many severe slopes that, once they get wet, it's, especially if you catch up slopes, like the ball does not roll. But on the same hand, like with the exact same thing with it being soft, it makes those greens soft. And when you get the greens soft on any PGA Tour event in the world, these guys are so good that it doesn't matter. Like, no matter how difficult the greens are, the minute they start getting soft, these guys are able to go with flag sticks, and you see a lot more birdies being made. Kind of slows the greens down a little bit, which, usually they get the Masters rolling pretty fast, usually about 13.5, 14. With those kind of undulations on those greens, some of those guys can die out there. It's not easy, but I think, Max definitely has a point there where you might see a lot of birdies, especially come Friday afternoon. So if you get these guys that tee off, they get the afternoon draw. I would not be shocked to see a lot of birdies. I also wouldn't be shocked to see a lot of bogeys either because, like I said, with it being wet, guys get uncomfortable, especially as difficult a golf course like that. Like, you kind of have to be able to stay in rhythm and stay comfortable. And with the rain, usually things slow down. I don't think he's wrong. I think you will see a lot of birdies out of our top players, and I think those guys that aren't long will have a difficult time, or maybe even a more difficult time with the rain. Just, you can't get the ball close to the hole if you're hitting 3-wood into those greens. Good luck.
Yeah, and I guess going back to Max Homa, there's another interview I listened to today with Shane Bacon, who was kind of talking about it with how the weather was going to play well at Augusta, and he was kind of focusing on Max Homa, and he was kind of saying how Max is one of those guys on tour that when weather is a factor, wherever you're playing, he's kind of one of those guys that can just deal with it better than a lot of the players in the field can. Like, he deals with the better shots better, so that hopefully that gives Max an advantage. I'm a huge Max Homa fan myself. I know you are as well. So. But I guess going off that, is there any, I guess maybe Homa has the advantage there, but is there any players that also have an advantage, or maybe players that are going to struggle with this rainfall that are going to come?
Yeah, Homa's got an advantage. He won the Wells Fargo last year. It was pretty much pissing rain all weekend and just looked miserable, and the guy just dealt with it, and he's a grinder, and you kind of have to have that mentality when you get into bad weather on the golf course. Another guy that I love when it's bad weather is Rory. Guy just, for whatever reason, plays really, really well when the conditions are horrible, and I think that's, when you get bad conditions, it kind of separates good from great. Yeah, I love Rory when the weather's bad. Same thing, man. I love DJ when the weather's bad because nothing bothers the guy, and once you get it kind of soft and wet, you're going to kind of see some similar conditions to what he won in November of 2020 when he won the Masters. The golf course played a little longer. The ball didn't roll quite as well or quite as far out off the tee. screens were a little bit softer, and I mean, and DJ won that pretty easily. So I love Homa, I love DJ, love Rory. I think Morikawa, as great an iron player as he is, I think with those conditions being softer, I think that plays to his hand. Now, if he can get the putter rolling, it really is in his favor because, I mean, you're hard pressed to find a better ball striker on the face of the planet than Colin Morikawa. I love John Rahm. The guy's crazy long off the tee, can shape the ball left and right, which, you need to be able to do at Augusta a little bit to some extent. Guys like JT are pretty solid when it gets wet like that and uncomfortable because they just have that bulldog mentality. They go out there and they just sort of like mentally dominate the rest of the field, and they don't let things bother them a whole lot. I know JT's at least a little bit more animated about when he's, not playing well, or when he's, you kind of tell when he's playing good too. But I love Spieth, man. Spieth's the same way. If Spieth can get that putter hot, he's dangerous. I mean, the guy's already won at Augusta before, and he's always played pretty well outside. I mean, even 16 when he had the little meltdown that kind of started his downward spiral, and he's back on the come up now. I think Spieth's a guy to kind of might turn some heads this week. As far as guys that kind of don't play well in the weather, I see guys like Kevin Kisner's probably an easy one, not very long off the tee, phenomenal putter, but if you're not going to be on the green, you're going to be hitting long clubs into greens. I mean, at that point, you're pretty much losing shots on the green anyways. I mean, what you do when you're putting, and what you do like as far as strokes gained putting stats and whatnot. I mean, those kind of go out the window a little bit when you're basically 40 yards behind the rest of the guys you're playing against. It's kind of an unfair game for him. A guy that I don't think he kind of puts on this face is Koepka. I know he just won the last live event, but
hottest player in golf right now, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's to each their own. That's a hot take, but he's one of those guys, like, he loves to put on the face of like, I'm an athlete, and wants to kind of downplay the fact that he doesn't want to practice, or you know how he is. It's a major, he's gonna play. I mean,
exactly.
If any of you watch the Full Swing series, spoiler alert, Brooks has a major crisis situation with the 6 inches between his ears. The guy's a head case. Trying to think who else, kind of just scrolling through the field here as far as like who's playing. I mean, there's obviously basically half that field's pretty much got no shot.
Yeah.
Guys that predominantly play on the Champions Tour have zero shot to win. I mean, and most of those guys won't make the cut if they do. I mean, I think that's a win in their book. It's kind of just a charity, thanks for playing. So
yeah, and you mentioned Rory. You mentioned Rory. With him possibly having an advantage, he came out and said when they kind of did an interview with him, he came out and said that last year when he chipped out of that bunker on 18, and I think he shot a 64 his final round.
That's correct.
That was when him and Morikawa, they both chipped out of that bunker. But what he kind of said was, he said that last year was kind of the only year that he's ever left Augusta feeling pretty high, even though he didn't win. He doesn't have a green jacket yet, but he said that was the only time he's ever left Augusta feeling like, his mood is up. Like he felt good leaving Augusta. So maybe that plays into him. But I mean, could this be Rory's year? I mean, he's playing well. He played at the end of last year, won the FedEx. But I mean, Rory right now is 13-2 odds, second only behind Scotty. So could it be Rory's year?
I certainly think it can. I feel like at some point the guy is going to win the Grand Slam. All he needs is the Masters to win the Grand Slam. I think it's just a matter of when, not if. Like I said, I at some point he's going to win a Grand Slam. Is that this year? I certainly think he's after the kind of the performance he had last year. I certainly think that's way more in the cards than it ever has been. For whatever reason, as great a player as Rory is, he has not really played well at Augusta. But I think, kind of building on the confidence of shooting 64 in the final round and kind of, he wasn't really in it, but he still kind of gave himself a shot to win, if one of those guys, those guys in the last couple of groups was able to somehow collapse. I think, Rory would have won. I don't think that's the way Rory wants to win by any stretch. But yeah, I mean, I think after the way he played last year, I mean, God, he looked extremely good on Sunday last year. And he's looked pretty good. I mean, for the last couple of weeks, he went pretty deep into match play, which I know is a little bit different. It's not quite the same game, but certainly a much different golf course. The only thing with Rory is that just all the pressure, all the added pressure from being, the poster child for the PGA Tour and kind of really sticking his neck out and kind of going outwardly against, Liv and especially Greg Norman. I think he definitely has that weight on his shoulders, and I'd be curious to see what he does and how he handles that, with the coming, next 4 days. I mean, I feel like, a couple of his interviews earlier this week they've been good, but definitely very Rory. But I think yeah, like I think he's got a good shot, man. If I was gonna put some money on it, I would love that Rory McIlroy play. I think you said 13-2. Is that right?
Yeah, 13-2.
Right. I mean, it's tough when he's a second lowest favorite, but I definitely love Rory. I just think, at some point he's gonna win one, and I think he'd be dumb to bet against him.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It feels like every major that comes around, there's a little bit of that added pressure on those guys, Rory being included. And it does feel like Augusta is kind of that one place that is kind of pressured Rory that, when the Masters come around, like you have some expectations for Rory. So like I said, Rory's 13-2 odds. You got Scotty leading the way with 5-1 odds, and then right behind Rory in third would be Jon Rahm at 17-2. So I guess with those three, they're kind of like the three-headed monster of golf right now. So I guess who has the most at stake between those three? Who's got the most to lose? Who's got the most pressure on them? That kind of thing between those three.
I think out of those three, I think easily the most to lose and the most pressure on them is just Rory. I mean, with this pretty much being the first major of having, that divide between the LIV Tour and the PGA Tour, I think it's Rory because he's been the one that's been the most vocal, especially for both the PGA Tour and against, LIV. I think it's far and away Rory, the most pressure on him. Outside of that, I mean, I just don't think. Said Scotty and Rahm have both played extremely well. I mean, Rahm won back-to-back starts or 2 starts out of 3 to start the year. I mean, Scotty won here in Phoenix again. All three of those guys. I mean, it's hard to pick a winner out of those three, right? Like any single one of those guys has it. They're more than good enough. We've all seen it, so it's just a matter of who kind of gets the luck, right? Like it takes luck to win golf tournaments. It's not, skill plays some sort of factor in there, but at the end of the day, like luck plays a little bit of factor into winning golf tournaments. And I think out of those three, if one of those three gets more lucky than the other three, I mean, I think they end up winning the Masters this year.
Yeah. So Scotty obviously won it last year. He's been playing well ever since really when he won the Phoenix Open last year. Playing very well right now, but it does kind of feel, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but whenever these odds come out for any sporting event, whether it's Super Bowl, NBA Finals, World Series, whatever, you always see either the top leader in the odds, the best odds, or the reigning champ. I'm always like hesitant to pick them for some reason because I feel like it's very tough to go back to back in anything, let alone at Augusta. But Scotty's kind of one of those guys where it's like he obviously can still win it, but it does kind of feel like there's that factor where it's like, okay, he won, even though he won it last year, it's still kind of tough for him to win it this year. So, I mean, can Scotty go back to back maybe?
It's tough to say. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever won back-to-back Masters. Not that I know of. I mean, the only
I have to
person that
fact
might have
check
is
that. I'm
Tiger.
not sure. Yeah.
I think the person that might have is Tiger, and I think 01, 02. But again, I could be wrong. I'd be to be more right to say nobody has ever won back-to-back, and even if somebody did win back-to-back and it was Tiger, nobody is Tiger. Nobody was that
No.
97 to
Especially him and
yeah, it's
that
not even
stretch.
it's night and day, man. Like it's night and day. I like I said, that's kind of why I would love to say Scotty, but just with the way that it is, it's so hard to find back-to-back winners, especially in majors, especially at the Masters.
Oh yeah. It's a different breed. I mean, the course is different. Just different than anything you've ever seen. Just the atmosphere of it. Speaking of, I guess the course being different, I don't know if you saw this, but the par 5 13th, they lengthened it by 35 yards. So, and I did read that was kind of one of not necessarily like a gimme birdie hole, but it was a pretty routine birdie hole where you'd see some good amount of the field birdieing that hole. So I mean, is that going to play a big advantage? I mean, I know obviously with the golf course playing longer, it could be a whole different hole realistically.
Yeah, they actually interviewed a couple guys either Wednesday or Tuesday about it, and it's been definitely a talking point for some of them. I saw a quote from DJ that said he was basically going to lay up every single round, which is crazy to think because DJ is long, but I mean what you don't see on TV, and they say it all the time when you watch CBS. You can't see those slopes. I mean, you're essentially hitting, a 5-iron out of that fairway from like belt high. You can get lucky and hit a couple good ones, but these guys are playing not only for a green jacket but also for millions of dollars. I don't see a whole lot of them going at it. Which I don't think I want to see the stats on it this week because I think we'll see a little bit less birdies. I don't think you'll see. It'll be weird. I just think it becomes now a guys that can have their wedges dialed in this week will still make birdie. Because you can pretty much lay up and it's about a 50-60 yard wedge over the creek, and like I said, if you kind of get that wedge dialed in, you're going to see a lot of birdies. You're going to see guys they again people can still make putts. Like these guys are the best putters in the world. They play at the highest level for a reason. Even the worst putter on tour would make about 95% of golfers look like horrendous putters. That's how good they are. Yeah, I think so. Like I said, DJ said he's pretty much going to lay up all 4 days. I saw Rory talk about basically he had short iron in last year every single hole. Now he's going to have like 5 or 6. He's pretty much going to lay up every day after seeing where that ball ends up on the slope. Like I said, I mean, it's so hard to hit long irons off a for most right-handers. I mean, off an upslope, like where the ball's way above your feet. I mean, it's so hard to control the golf ball when you do that, and especially into that green because that green is a little bit severe. I saw Kisner's quote that was kind of very, very Kisner-esque. He's just talking about he essentially was the gist of it was he was just kind of like, yeah, you just played to the Bombers' favor, which I don't necessarily agree with because I think Kiz now, like, he probably can't even reach, like, if you just pretty much hit it straight on that hole, I mean, it's a big dog leg, but if Kiz pretty much just hits straight at the trees, that's where the flattest lies are. I mean, I still think he's going to lay up, and, like, Kiz is still a great putter and a pretty decent wedge player as far as, PGA Tour standards go. And I don't think he plays that hole any differently. I mean, I don't know exactly what he did last year, the prior years he's played in the Masters, but I can't imagine he's going at that green very often. But I also can't imagine that his scoring average is above 5 on that hole. So I think it changes it's harder to make 3 there because they're not hitting 9-iron in there. But I also think, as good as these guys are, I don't think they make, the big number. I think it makes a hole like that where par is an okay score. You're not losing a shot if you make par, but you are gaining minimal shots if you make birdie. And I think that's a good thing, man. Like, these guys hit it so far, and I know that's such a hot topic that, they hit it too far or whatever. I mean, they hit it a long way, but like you still got to be able to control a golf ball. And
Exactly.
especially Augusta, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, you played Augusta, you have to be able to control a golf ball. And you just ask Bryson DeChambeau who thinks he can overpower that golf course, because I'm pretty sure he shot like 76 and said it was a par 68. So, I mean, you still got to be able to get the ball in the hole, man. Like, that's never going to change about the game of golf. It's never going to change about Augusta National.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, yeah, like you said, DeChambeau is one of those guys who pretty much he should be on the long drive tour in a way. I mean, he hit like I feel like he's just out there, just like he wants to just play baseball, just like see how far he can hit the ball. But like you said, at the end of the day, you got to find a way to get the ball in the hole. And he's not the best of that when it comes to the PGA players. But
Yeah, don't get me started on DeChambeau, buddy. We'll be
yeah,
here all.
yeah, I'm Team Brooks on that one. I think most people are, or people just don't like both of them. So going down the line for odds here. So you got Scotty 5-1, Rory 13-2, Rahm 17-2. You got Patrick Cantlay 16-1. Then you go Spieth 18-1. Tony Finau, one of those guys I did not expect to see so high up here. He's 20-1. Dustin Johnson 22-1. JT 22-1. Xander 22-1, and Cam Smith 22-1. Yeah, the one I want to talk about is Finau. It feels like he can either play really, really good or just, not his day, not there. What about Finau? Because I do like Finau. He's one of those. I mean, we watched him in full swing. I've liked him before that, but he's just one of those guys who's just a generally good guy. It's hard not to root for the guy. So what about Finau here?
See, you're absolutely right, man. You can't hate the guy. Like it's pretty hard to hate him. I mean, I personally love Finau. He was actually a little dark horse for me. I think you said he was 19-1 or 22-1.
He was 20-1. He has a sixth best odds, which is, like I said, I was very surprised to see him that high on the list.
That is phenomenal value, because he has definitely had a couple years where he plays extremely well at Augusta for the first 3 days. I mean, people forget he was in the same group as Tiger on Sunday in 19 when he won. So
that's crazy. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, he was in the final pairing with Tiger. Like, the guy does play well at Augusta. I mean, good luck finding, somebody that, hits it as effortlessly far as Tony Finau does, man. Like, the guy has gone through some swing changes the last couple weeks. It looks really, really, really good. He's hitting it a mile. And I think that plays to his advantage there. And like I said, man, the guy, like, he's definitely a streaky putter. But if he can kind of get, especially with it being soft and maybe a hair slower, I mean, Finau might do it this week.
I would love to see it, honestly. Like, I do like Finau a lot. So going down, so those that I just mentioned were the top list guys. Some other notable ones I have written down here: Morikawa 25-1. I do love Morikawa. I think he's one of those. I think he's a top 10 lock. I would feel like. Then Jason Day, another one I want to talk about. He's also 25-1 with Morikawa. Kind of somebody that you didn't expect to see up here, but he's been playing really, really well and hasn't been for some time for a little bit. But it's kind of interesting one to see Jason Day all the way up there.
Yeah. God, he's like, it's so weird to think about. I mean, I didn't really watch golf a ton, when I was a kid, but kind of when I started watching golf was like right in the middle of Jason Day's just heater.
He was really dominant, really dominant.
Like, dude, he
very good.
The PGA Tour for like a year and a half.
He was the guy. He was number one golfer in the world for a good amount of time, wasn't he?
I think it was just at a year, maybe, plus or minus, a couple days under a year. But dude, yeah, he dominated the PGA Tour. I was like every single week, Jason Day is like up around the lead, and it was kind of one of those runs that you saw Spieth on. That's almost Tiger-like, but not quite the same. I mean, he was. I can't imagine he was ever minus money, to win a golf tournament like Tiger was. But if he wasn't minus money, he was pretty damn close, man, because
Yeah.
he was flat out
He
phenomenal.
was the guy. He was the guy. And he hasn't been for a while. I mean, last year he wasn't like too far up in the rankings or anything, but this year he's been playing really well, and it's kind of good to see him back up there.
It's definitely weird to see Jason Day back.
It is.
I mean,
It feels like,
it's
5 years ago, 6 years ago.
it feels comfortable to see Jason Day back playing well. And he had the extremely tough stretch with his mom passed away. He had the back issues, and it was just kind of like the same sort of spiral that Tiger went on. I mean, Tiger's a little bit more self-inflicted than Jason Day's was, but it was somewhat similar. Just dominance, and then the just bottom falls out, and they just plummet, and now they kind of build themselves back up. I mean, I love Jason Day, man. He's playing really, really, really good golf right now. I don't think he wins. I don't also see him missing the cut. I kind of see him like a T25, like a T, maybe sniffs the top 20. I mean, I'd be curious to see what those odds are on the top 20, and might be able to sprinkle a couple nuggets on that. But he's yeah, man, Jason Day he looks good. I just don't think his good, or like his best play will match the best play of some of the other guys that are out there yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just he's a little bit limited still.
Yeah, I think for him to win it, he's gonna need to play really, really well, and there's gonna need to be some guys that kind of have some holes where he can gain some strokes on them. Some other notable ones: Brooks Koepka and Max Homa are both 30-1. Zalatoris, Sungjae Im, and Hideki are 40-1. Matt Fitzpatrick, I know I've talked to you about him. He's 55-1. I really like him this weekend. And then you gotta always talk about him. Tiger's 80-1.
Yep.
What about Tiger this weekend? It'd be pretty cool if he wanted.
Big Cat's 80-1.
Yeah.
And he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
But I might put my car on that.
Might as well. I mean, it's Tiger at Augusta.
So, and the thing is I was going to touch on him a little bit earlier, and I figured we'd get to him anyways. Never count the cat out, man. I mean, the best player we've ever seen, the best player we'll probably ever see. The guy dominated his sport better than any athlete has ever dominated their sport in the history of sports.
No question.
Like, he is essentially, as great as Jordan was, he dwarfs Jordan in his greatness. And it was basically, I mean, I've seen quotes from guys that, from that run from 97 to 08, and it was, you show up to the golf course and, you kind of practice around Monday, Tuesday, Pro-Am on Wednesday, and it's like, all right, who's going to finish second this week to Tiger? I mean, he's the only guy ever to be able to have that kind of praise. I know you'll get the Jack crowd, but it's not even close, man. It's not even close to how great Tiger is. And I think as far as he plummeted after his back and his whole scandal and just the grueling comeback that he had to not only play well in the PGA at Bellerive and then to win the Tour Championship, but then in 2019 to come back to Augusta and win the Masters is like an all-time great comeback story. And it just shows you the level of greatness the guy has. And I think what goes unnoticed for most people is, Tiger has played Augusta National probably more than anybody else in the field. I'd be hard pressed to find anybody that's played it more, especially under pressure. And I think that goes a long way playing there. I've definitely heard interviews from guys on tour that say, like, it's definitely an advantage when you've gone there the first time and come back, because you kind of know it a little bit more. And I'm pretty sure Tiger probably knows that place like the back of his hand. He's he is he's just a world class competitor, man, and I'm glad he's playing. I would love to see him play well. I'd love to see him win again. I mean, sign me up for another Tiger Woods Masters win because, I mean, good luck finding anything that fires me up more than that. But I think if he's in the field, man, like he said it, the last couple times he's teed it up. Like, I'm not gonna play if I don't think I can win. I mean, dude, 80-1 is phenomenal odds for the cat.
It's intriguing for sure. And no, like you said, Augusta is one of those courses. Probably, it's the course of the PGA Tour that experience goes a long way there. And if you've played it before, it definitely gives you a huge upper hand to the guys that definitely haven't played it at all before, and especially haven't played it under the pressure that the Masters brings. And then the guys that, like you said, like Tiger, even like the Phils, the Bubbas who have played it multiple times, you're going up against some of these newer guys who haven't played as much. Experience goes a long way.
Yep. Yeah, it's
let's see. So another thing here would be, I know you kind of talked about Finau being your dark horse. You got any more? I mean, who are these guys who aren't necessarily on the top of the leaderboard, who we're used to seeing play super well at Augusta that could end up wearing that green jacket on Sunday?
I think you know who I'm gonna say, and it's gonna be Mr. John Maxwell Homa.
Yep, I love it.
Yeah, the guy is up there as one of the best ball strikers in the world. He's a phenomenal putter. He's been playing the best golf he's probably ever played in his life. I don't know that. You would have to ask him to kind of get that, but I would probably argue that this is the best I think we've ever seen him play. I mean, he's got the confidence rolling. Like, he's just phenomenal driver of the golf ball. He's long. He's accurate with the irons. He's a great putter. The short game is out of this world. I just, there's not many golf courses where, week in, week out they play on tour. I'm like, yeah, Max Homa can't win this week, which is crazy to say because, I mean, dude, 3 years ago it was like, who's Max Homa?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a very select few of us that knew who he was. But, him playing extremely well for that little run. I mean, he won Torrey this year, contended again at Riviera. He won Riv last year. He won the Wells Fargo last year. The guy is playing extremely good golf on extremely hard golf courses. And I've definitely listened to some of his interviews where he talks about, how much he loves playing difficult golf courses. And you know what? Historically, he's not been a good major player. And I think that's about to change this year. I think this is the year that we see Max Homa kind of play really well in majors. I hope it starts here at Augusta this week. But, kind of fast forward to June when they play the U.S. Open at LA Country Club. I mean, the guy won the Pac-12 championship at Augusta, or it's not Augusta, at Los Angeles Country Club when he was in college. So, another difficult golf course. Like the guy plays well on hard golf courses, and I think as difficult as Augusta is, it's hard to say that Max Homa's not going to play well. Those words will never come out of my mouth. I mean, what were his odds? I mean, you probably said they were like 30-1.
They are 30-1.
30-1, great value. I mean, I think the guy finished in the top 20. Like I said, he hasn't played historically well in majors. He's even said it. So there's that little bit of pressure that he probably feels from himself to play well in majors. But as confident as the guy is, I know it doesn't seem that way sometimes, but he's an extremely confident guy. I think he makes a good charge this week. And I think he's ready to make that next step into being like major winner, not just 4 or 5 time PGA Tour winner.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, now it's time to win a major. I think he's very, very close to that. And I would love to see it this week out of the guy.
If If Augusta National was in the state of California, I would put my entire life savings on Max Homa to win.
100%.
Without a doubt.
Thank God Augusta is not in California.
Yeah. But this is the highest world ranking that Max has ever gone into the Masters with. And he said on that interview that this is the best that he's ever felt heading into Augusta. I know a lot of guys actually have been saying that. I mean, Rory said it, but I do feel like Max, because he's a pretty honest guy. I mean, you see all over Twitter, he loves goofing around, having a good time. You know, one thing I don't like about him is he's a LA sports fan, Dodgers and Lakers fan. So put that aside.
The only knock, but we'll let it slide.
Yeah.
What's his world ranking? What's his world ranking?
I don't know off the top of my head, but
12.
He was saying, I think it's top 10 though. I'm gonna say like 8.
Like 7. It might be like 7. Yeah, it's like 7 or 12. I feel like It's been changing. It's been trending upwards for the last year and a half. So
yeah, I mean he's confident going into this one, which is good because he's good friends with Barstool Big Cat and PFT. Goes in the Part of My Take podcast a bunch, and I think it was last Masters and Masters before that. He's like I said, honest guy, and he was like, yeah, my goal is to make the cut Masters, and he said on the interview today, he's like, yeah, no, my goal is to win. Like I think I'm in the best position I've ever been in to win this tournament.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think a lot of these guys will come into it saying like, oh, this is as good as I've played, and I feel like a little bit. The game of golf is so mental. I think you kind of have to. It's weird to say like, kind of reassure yourself or like falsely assure yourself. But I think a lot of these guys have to just to kind of like say it out loud and to get them to believe it. Do some of these guys not believe that they're playing, their best? I would argue that. I know I do it with my own game. I would imagine, these guys are obviously better than I am. I would argue that, they, sometimes kind of have to not necessarily face reality a little bit, but they kind of have to just spin their words to try to like create a little bit of false self-confidence, and hopefully that turns into like actual self-confidence. But yeah, no, I think as honest as Max Homa is, I mean, it's no secret that he's pretty honest as a human being. I think he's like I said. I mean, it's the statistics even show it. I mean, this is as good a golf he's ever played, and I did look it up. He's number 5 in the world.
Good number.
Number 5, yeah, it's your number right there.
Yeah, I think Max saying that it carries a lot more weight than if anybody else. I mean, maybe the Tiger, but it carries more weight when he says, "I'm playing very good right now. I feel like I can win this. This is the best I've ever felt." Because, like you said, golf is a very mental game. I mean, I'm a victim of it myself when I snap hook my drive into the trees. It definitely pisses me off. Like you just gotta worry about the next shot, and I feel like Max is really good at that, and I'm not at the best. Just being completely honest with you. But I do really like Max in this tournament. I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan, but I do really think Max has a great shot at winning this.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I always kind of get like I don't know about you, but I always kind of get like I have to like take a step back and be like, is this an emotional bet, or is this do I really think he can? I mean, like I bet on him to win probably on Thursday or Friday of the Farmers Insurance at Torrey Pines, and he ended up winning. But it's like, is this an emotional bet, or like do I really think he can win? Not like
I agree.
Do I want him to win? Yes, but like I think he can win, man. Like 30-1, dude. Like that's like there's guys that are higher than him that I feel like have less of a chance to win than he does.
No, I'm a victim of that too. Like I was just looking at the MLB odds before the season started, and the Cardinals had very enticing odds at plus 2,000.
Oh yeah, you can't touch those. They ain't gonna let anyone win.
All right, buddy, come on now. I guess okay. Another one I want to talk about at 40-1 is Hideki. 40-1 seems very high for Hideki for a guy that won it 2 years ago. It just he knows the golf course. He's won it before. 40-1 seems. I mean, Zalatoris is the same odds as him. That doesn't make sense to me.
Hideki's a tough one, man, because like he hasn't really played great since he won the Masters. But the fact that him and Zalatoris are the same, I know Zalatoris was up there like around the lead when Hideki won, but yeah, that's a weird one, man. 40-1 seems high. I don't think he wins. So I mean, I don't think that those odds matter. Because he really hasn't been playing great. Like you had kind of the stretch of Hideki where he was really, really around the lead pretty much week in, week out. And I feel like a lot of those kind of the same boat that like Sung Jae Im is right now, where like, you know, the guy's always around the lead. I don't know how, I don't know why. But they're just like always at the top of the leaderboard, and it's like, where did this guy come out of? I feel like Hideki's odds are definitely high for being a previous winner, but I just don't think, you know, they're probably kind of in a pretty solid spot because he really hasn't played great of late. You really haven't heard much of him. You know, he's kind of had a couple good finishes here and there, but say for the most part, like definitely has not played to the same standard that we saw when he won at Augusta in 21. And honestly, pretty much the standard that we saw before that with Hideki, like, you know, we're really, really straight driver of the golf ball. I feel like he's kind of gotten away from that. The stats might say something otherwise, but just, you know, without diving too deep into the stats of, you know, his driving statistics, I feel like he's not quite as good a driver of the golf ball as he was. I feel like the irons are not quite as sharp as they were, especially when he won at Augusta. But I mean, God, he won back-to-back times here in Phoenix, like against Ricky. I feel like it's not the same Hideki we've seen. I don't know why. I kind of am curious to know why that would be. I think he's one of those guys, like, you know, he's wouldn't be surprised to see him like in the top 10 this week, but I also wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he kind of dabbles around the cut line as well. So
I do agree with you. I think the 40-1 odds really don't matter. I don't think he will win it, but with him being with those 40-1 odds, those top 10, top 20, top 15 odds could be pretty good for him. And like you said, I could see him up there, but you know, very well he could be floating on the cut line. So we kind of talked about the dark horses a little bit, but give me somebody who could miss the cut. Give me a couple guys who, you know, who have pretty high expectations going into this that could very well, you could see him missing the cut.
Let's see. Off the top of my head, DeChambeau. I mean,
we all know that's gonna.
That's kind of just a lock. I mean, he's got the stupid hat. Like, he already tried to belittle Augusta National and then got slapped right in the face by. I mean, the golf gods just basically told him, don't ever talk about Augusta National like this. This is our place. Don't talk about, you know, our place like this. And here you go. Here's a missed cut. I think like this is probably not like a good, like not like a popular take, but like, dude, I don't think Brooks makes the cut. Like, I don't think.
I could say I don't want it to happen though, because I do like Brooks, but I very well could see him not making the cut.
From what I've seen, like, yeah, I know he won last week or whatever, but like, I take these live wins with such a grain of salt because like half those guys on the live tour, man, like, you know, they were bottom feeders on the PGA Tour, and the other half, either their careers are long gone, you know, guys like Ian Poulter, guys like Phil, you know, their best years of their career are behind them. I mean, the only 2 or 3 guys that like are really, really great players before they left for live were, you know, Cam Smith and DJ. Like, I mean, I would never consider Brooks, especially. I mean, Brooks had his little run, yeah. I'd probably throw Brooks into that camp as well, but like, the rest of those guys, man, were just kind of almost non-factors on the PGA Tour. I mean, maybe a couple wins, but I mean, never contended in majors. I mean, I guess DeChambeau won the U.S. Open when he just bombed and gouged it at Winged Foot because the rough was about 8 feet tall and he hit it longer than everybody. So, you know, everybody's missing fairways. So when you miss fairways and you're long, I mean, you're just going to have wedge in. But again, I can't stand DeChambeau. I don't like the game.
Is this an emotional pick? I know we just talked about it. Is this an emotional pick?
It's emotional, but it's also like there's a little bit of like statistical there, like dude, just not outside of when he won at Winged Foot,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, no fans around. And again, like Winged Foot was so difficult because like the fairways were so narrow, the rough was so thick, the greens were so firm that he was essentially just wailing on driver. And he's like, I don't care where I hit it, somebody's gonna find it, and then I'm gonna hit a wedge. And because I'm 40 yards in front of you, I'm gonna keep this on the green. You're gonna miss greens. I'm gonna make 4, and you're gonna make 5, and I'm gonna win. And obviously you can't do that at Augusta. He proved that himself when he came out and was like, oh, it's a par 68 and proceeded to make bogey on 2 of the par 5s. Like, I mean, I just, the arm lock, like everything about the guy, I can't stand. So I don't think he makes the cut. And I know that's an emotional, he doesn't make the cut. I just don't think he's a good player. Like, sorry. I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. I don't think he is even, top 40 on the PGA Tour, in my opinion. I don't think he wins. I don't think he makes the cut. I don't think Brooks does.
And Brooks has pretty good odds too. I think Brooks' odds are 30-1. Yeah, he's same odds as Max Homa.
Again, I just think that's kind of like that's a little bit more of a reach that he doesn't make the cut. But I just think what I saw as far as like how much of a mental midget he is. That might change. Like I said, I mean, I just think, from what I saw and, when he's got to play against, good competition like that, like he was pretty much a mental midget. Kind of scrolling through here. A guy like, a guy like Molinari probably doesn't make the cut. Like Francesco left to go play live. Or no, sorry. His brother did. My bad. His brother did. But regardless, I don't think he does. Just a couple.
What about like Joel Damon?
Is he playing?
America's favorite golfer at the moment.
Is Joel Damon playing?
I don't know, but I hope he does.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
I know Mito Pereira is. I don't see him making the cut. Is Sahith playing?
Sahith is playing. Yeah, Thagala's playing. But again, dude, like Thagala's good, dude. Like Thagala's a great player. It's hard because I mean, obviously half the field is going to miss the cut, and I could probably pick half the field that's going to miss the cut here. Just kind of like eyeballing the tee sheet for tomorrow, but a name that wouldn't surprise me if they missed the cut. I mean, obviously Phil. I mean, you can pretty much put your house on Phil missing the cut.
That's the chalk right there.
If he makes it, it's a win. Congratulations, Phil. I mean, the guy is the most crooked driver of the golf ball ever. He makes.
Hey, don't be hating on lefties though.
Yeah, I mean, and he also looks like he's done nothing but meth for the last 12 weeks.
Dude, that picture though of them all wearing the green jackets. 2 things about Phil. First of all, it looked like his head was just floating.
Dude, that green jacket is 4 sizes too big now. Guy needs a hamburger.
And at the same time, too, it looked like he just went in the bathroom and snorted a line of Coke. His eyes were, like, all the way open.
Dude,
it was like, Phil's way too excited to be here right now. Like, something had to happen here.
Phil looks brutal. Sergio's playing. Yeah, Sergio's missing the cut.
You know how funny it'd be if Sergio and Rory were in a pairing together?
Oh, God. Give me Patrick Reed and Rory.
I hate Patrick Reed. I can't stand Patrick Reed.
By the way, previous Masters winner, would not surprise me if he makes the cut. But again, I could care less if Patrick Reed misses the cut. I don't think Bubba makes the cut.
Oh, come on now. I know
that's
this is an emotional pick.
I know there's lefty slander there, but I just don't think Bubba makes the cut. Like, again, Bubba's best years are behind him. I mean, it's pretty evident that Bubba is a mental midget. Just a complete psychopath on the golf course. And he doesn't have his caddy anymore, so
I'll caddy for him. I'll be on the bag.
Yeah, we'll get you a PJ out to Augusta. Yeah, he tees off at like 6:50 Mountain Standard Time tomorrow. So have fun with that one, pal.
All right, I'll have on the PJ.
I just there's a couple guys, man. Like Kisner would be. I think it'd be a win if Kisner makes the cut. I don't think he does. I would love to see him do it, but I don't think he does. Just
I hope he does. I hope Kisner plays really well.
So do I. So do I. I would love to see Kiz play well. I just don't think it happens. Like he's just not long enough to play Augusta. And I think he's kind of just like outed himself already. It's like chalk this one up. Like let's go to the next tournament type situation. It's I got the invitation to the Masters. Just there you go. I mean, he not a historically great player at Augusta. But you can't. Very few guys can hit the ball, 285 off the tee at Augusta and play, pretty solid golf. Morikawa is one of those guys who is a quote shorter hitter, and he plays pretty well at Augusta. I mean, he's played pretty well at Augusta. I know there's a small sample size there, but last year he played pretty well. I just think, there out of those names, like I said, DeChambeau, Kisner, Mickelson. I think you said Mito. One guy that I kind of just flip flop back and forth. One guy that will probably make the cut is Joaquin Niemann.
I was just about to talk about him because last year he lit it up.
Dude, phenomenal golf swing. Just phenomenal golf swings. Him and Victor Hovland move the golf club so well. It just bugs me they don't win as much as they do.
Joaquin's really good. He played with Tiger last year, didn't he? I think he did.
I believe so. I might be wrong. Yeah, I think he did.
I think he did. But so instead of missing the cut, what about some like guys you could see in the top 20 here? Any, other than the guys like Scotty, Rahm, those guys, any guys that who are kind of floating around that area where you could see them top 20, top 10 even, that 10 to 20 range.
Yep. I think first and foremost, a guy that, has not played particularly well at Augusta is Justin Thomas. I think he finishes inside the top 20. I know that he's got his own pressure of, wanting to play well at Augusta. He's, I think he even talked about it during Full Swing. How he's, it kind of bugs him that he hasn't played well at Augusta. I mean, the guy's played well in majors. He's won majors before. I think no major compares to the Masters, but I think it's time for JT to play well, at Augusta. I think it's something that he's kind of really keyed in on. Max Homa, I think that's a lock for the top 20. I think Tiger's a lock for the top 20.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, dude. Like, I know
what
I got
Schauffele?
Schauffele.
What about Xander?
Yeah, I think Xander probably cracks top 15, top 10. I could see Xander like being a top 5 guy, man. Like I know I didn't touch on him earlier, and I knew I was missing a name, and it was Xander. After you started talking about the odds and stuff, I was like, oh, I forgot about Xander. But I mean, the guy is such a phenomenal player, and he kind of goes under the radar because he doesn't get over. He kind of gets overshadowed, but overshadowed is the wrong word by, the success of what Scotty's done for the last year. The constant winning that Rahm has. The kind of, I mean, Max Homa's gotten a ton of love the last year. He's just so lovable. I think, Xander gets overshadowed, quote by that. He's just one of those guys, like he's pretty quiet. He stays to himself. But the guy's a competitor, man. Like he's so fiery. Just wants to win, loves to win. And he plays really good golf, and I think if he gets a kind of moving this week, like we've seen him play well, and we've seen him play at an elite level on the PGA Tour. I think if he kind of finds that gear this week, I mean, dude, he's one of those guys. It's like, oh, Xander's in second, and it's Sunday, and the leaders are on 11, and he's already through Amen Corner, and he's one back, and it's, oh boy, hold on, because Xander might make like 3 birdies coming in. I mean,
he can go really low.
Dude, he's just one of those guys that like he's got it. Just finds a way to get the ball in the hole, finds a way to just kind of dominate people. And I love to use the term like mentally dominate. Like he's just a bulldog. Like nothing bothers the guy. Like he goes out there, he's nose to the grindstone. Like I'm gonna show you what really really quality golf looks like for 18 holes or over the course of a tournament with just 72 holes of quality golf and beat me. So I would
Yeah,
love
pretty
to see
much.
Xander play well.
And yeah, he's one of those guys that he can shoot up the leaderboard really quick if he wanted to. Like he'll have rounds where he'll go like shoot 66.
Dude, when he's hot, he is hot. It's
Exactly.
crazy. Another one that I missed. I think top 20. I want to know what the odds are on him is Sung Jae.
He's got 40-1 odds to win it all. So those top 20 odds are probably pretty good.
What was Homa was 30.
Almost 30. Yeah,
So
and
Sung Jae's probably like plus 220 to finish inside the top 20. I mean, I would probably sprinkle a little bit on that because again, dude, Sung Jae's a grinder, man. Like he's just a phenomenal ball striker. I mean, I can't think of a single flaw in the game. I mean, a lot of these guys, it's hard, when you kind of understand, from a big perspective of like how good these guys are on tour, especially the guys that get invited to the Masters, outside of like the ones that have won. There's about a handful that they just get the invitation because they earn the right to get the invitation every year. But these guys that, they play still week in, week out on the PGA Tour, like, dude, Sungjae's a grinder, man. Plays every tournament, loves playing golf, loves playing hard golf courses. Yeah, Sungjae, I think, is a top 20 lock. Another guy that I kind of think is a lock, too, is Hoagie, Tom Hoagie.
he's
Really,
been playing well.
playing really well the last, like, 6, 7, 8 months. Who else am I missing here? I know I had a couple that I had written down. I think Matty Fitz. I think he cracks inside the top 20. Guy won the U.S. Open on a very difficult golf course. I think he does I think he kind of cracks that top 20. I know I already gave you the dark horse pick, Finau. I think Finau is like a lock for the top 20. I mean, I would be shocked if he finishes outside of 20th.
Yeah, it's weird because like Finau really does feel like a dark horse, but he's got the sixth best odds.
Yeah, he shouldn't be.
Exactly. I do love Finau, but I don't think he should be all the way up there ahead of like JT and Xander.
Guy finishes inside the top 20 is Tom Kim.
Not a bad one. I like Morikawa for that too. I think you throw him in there too.
I would be surprised if Morikawa won, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes inside the top 20. So
See, I really wouldn't be surprised if he won though. He's playing really well right now. I saw some stats that was like he was number 1 in this, number 2 in this, number 1 in this, number 2 and like 3, and it was like all like
he's a phenomenal ball striker. I guess quote downfall is it's not very long off the tee, but long enough to get by. And sometimes that putter goes a little bit cold. Now, if he can find a way to get that thing hot this week, I mean, I feel like I've said that pretty much about every guy I talk about, but he's one of those guys that's sent like especially a streaky putter. Yeah, no, like I said, he can definitely ball strike it better than pretty much anybody in the field. You're going to see Adam Morikawa probably a lot of good iron shots, especially when it's soft. I think it's just, they were just throwing darts at flag sticks all day when you kind of get soft conditions like that. You're such a great iron player like he is. But I don't think, as good as he played last year, I don't think he kind of sniffs the top 5, barring anybody really like collapsing on Sunday. I think he's just one of those guys, like, especially this week, he's going to kind of, because I personally, I just don't think he's playing like his best golf. Like we've seen him win. I feel like he hasn't won as much as he like should have. Like I know it sounds stupid saying that he should win more, but because it's so hard to win on the PGA Tour. But he's just such a good ball striker. It's like, how does this guy not win more? And
it does feel weird. Like I feel like he should be winning a lot more.
He's just, dude, like such a great iron player. I mean, like you want to be able to hit the golf ball well. It's like go watch Colin Morikawa hit irons and just okay. That's what you do. Just copy
Makes
paste.
sense.
Let's figure out a way to do that. So I think Morikawa finishes inside the top 20, but also would not be surprised if you see like a top 10, top 5.
Last thing here, and then we'll wrap this one up. Give me the winner. Give me your winner, outright winner. Let's hear it.
God. For the sake of the podcast, so you can get some clicks here, I mean, we're going to go the big cat, dude.
You're going Tiger?
Going LT Gray. It's the greatest of all time. The guy's going to tee it up. And honestly, like, if he doesn't win, it doesn't look bad on me. But if he wins, boy, do I look like a genius for saying Tiger.
You do look like a genius.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, dude, like the guy at Augusta, just great vibes all the time. Like, the only thing that bothers me is the legs still. But I think he did a pretty decent job when he played at Riviera. I know he kind of like took a step back on Saturday, Sunday, but I feel like he thinks that Augusta's home, so maybe he's a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, I'm gonna say Tiger at like 80-1 odds. I mean, I think you'd be stupid not to put some money on that, and I think I would love to see Tiger win again. But if you want another one that's not Tiger, I mean, I'll give you. Read me the odds again.
We got Scotty 5-1, Rory 13-2, Rombo 17-2, Cantlay 16-1, Spieth 18-1, Spinall 21, DJ 22, JT 22, Xander 22, Cam Smith 22. You got like Morikawa 25-1, Jason Day same as Morikawa, Homa 30.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear Tiger, like I said, I really think that Tiger's got a good shot to win this week, as outrageous as that might seem to some people. Give me Rory, man. Give me Rory.
Okay.
I think he steps up to the occasion and kind of gives Greg Norman the old middle finger and be like, here you go, buddy, I'm better than you, because you never played well enough to do this. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Rory here.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with Max Homa on this one.
I knew you were gonna go there, so I stayed away.
Did you? See, I also do think Morikawa can win it. But
you're right.
I'm gonna go with Max Homa on this one. So Max Homa, Rory, Tiger. If any of those guys win, we look like geniuses.
Yeah,
it'd be nice. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. That we got some good stuff in here.
Buddy, pleasure is always mine. I really appreciate you having me. Hopefully, see if anybody actually listens to my picks, because I don't think they will. And if you're smart and you know me well enough, don't take my picks because they never hit.
See, you can't say that though. You gotta act like you know your stuff here.
Yeah, well, all right, you can edit that out then.
Okay. Yeah, we'll wrap this one up. We'll have this one posted by tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to listen to this one. Start of the Masters. But yeah, check the Twitter. We'll have some updates posted on there. Like Jack said last episode, we'll be going strictly. We'll be trying to go strictly Wednesdays and Sundays. But yeah, Max, thanks again. We'll try to get you on maybe one of the next upcoming majors whenever golf starts to heat up again.
Sounds good, man.
Well, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Like I said, we'll try to get one out Sunday for you guys, and we'll see you guys later.